Hello students, welcome to the lecture on planning and control. And after this lecture, we will be able to learn the following objectives. Understand the concept of planning, discuss the McKinsey's 7 approach, describe the SWOT analysis, define controlling, explain the dimensions of control, describe the management by objectives. Let's start with the concept of planning and control. Planning refers to the process of deciding what to do and how to do it. Planning occurs at many levels, from day-to-day decisions made by individuals and families to complex decisions made by businesses and governments. This chapter focuses on community land use and transport planning, but most principles described apply to any planning activity. Planning and control generally involve the planning of manufacturing process. Especially it consists of the planning of routing, scheduling, dispatching, inspection and coordination, control of materials, method machines, tools and operating times, etc. The ultimate objective of PPC is to organize the supply and movement of materials and labor, machines, utilization and related activities in order to bring about the desired manufacturing results in terms of quality, quantity, time and place. Let us now discuss the concept of planning. The task of coming up with a sequence of actions that will achieve a goal is called planning. Planning the knowledge management process. If you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. Common saying. How many times has a company put together a business plan and then sat aside to gather dust? How many companies can even say what their business plan consists of? Often a business plan is used for financial institutions, and unless a loan is required, the business plan is forgotten. Here are some guidelines for planning a company's knowledge management plan. Yearly. Annually list your major deliverables and outcomes, the company's major goals over the next 12 to 18 months. What is the strategic focus? What projects are in alignment with the company's vision? What would really help the company to the next level? This overview will help derive strategic plans for project considerations and weed out the unnecessary time consumers. Every 6 months. Sit down again every 6 months to reassess the macro and the micro goals. Check to see which stage in the process the company is. On time, overdue, running behind. Assess the root cause and try to solve. Every month. At the end of each month, determine next month's activities. Are these in alignment with the macro goals set earlier? If not, what should be changed? How much time will corrective action take to make the change? Will the budget hold to account for it? Write down action steps required to complete each task. Delegate tasks to responsible workers. Weekly. Either at the beginning of the week or at the end of each week, take a moment to plan for the week ahead. Look at each monthly goal and decide what particular actions are required to complete the goal. Steps in planning. The various steps involved in planning processes are awareness of opportunities and problems. The first step in planning process is the awareness of business opportunity or the problems to provide for in future. Present and future opportunities must be found out so that planning may be undertaken to take advantage of them. Collecting and analyzing information. The next step is to gather adequate information and data relating to the planning to be made. The facts and figures collected will help in framing realistic plans. Further, the information gathered has to be analyzed for proper interpretation. Types of planning. When we think of the different types of planning, what comes to mind? Someone strategic planning, and this is where you want to start. Strategic planning. It is a very popular concept that has been around for years. Certainly, it is safe to say that most of not all companies and organizations spend time on their strategic plannings. Strategic planning is defined as long-range planning that focuses on the entire organization. Strategic planning involves managers at the highest levels, executive directors and presidents, leaders of the organizations are involved. Tactical planning. It is characterized as short-term planning. This type of planning is usually confined to 1 year or less. It is more concerned with current operations and as such usually involves mid-level managers instead of the highest level managers. Tactical planners are thinking about tomorrow and next week or next month, and planning is much more detailed than strategic. Strategic is more broad. Barriers to effective planning. Planning for the future of an organization can be difficult. One must consider the thoughts and ideas of board members, staff members, executive management, and other stakeholders. Not all of these folks are on the same page or have the same agenda. Some individuals can bring positive ideas to the table only to have their enthusiasm squashed by barriers brought by others. While everyone ideally has the same end goal, success, finding one's way there can be difficult. Fear. Fear can be a barrier to effective planning. When management focuses on the fear of change or lack of success rather than the potential for growth, it makes it difficult to plan for the future of an organization. Fear of financial insolvency or a lack of knowledge about market conditions can cause executive management to avoid planning for the future and focus solely on day-to-day operations. Short-sightedness. Short-sighted behavior can cause executive managers to stop in their tracks. By focusing on current projects rather than broader, long-term goals and on day-to-day management rather than future growth and profitability, short-sightedness is a barrier to effective planning. Operational plan. The operational plan describes the day-to-day running of the company. The operational plan charts out a roadmap to achieve the tactical goals within a realistic time frame. This plan is highly specific with an emphasis on short-term objectives. Now moving on to the next topic, we will study McKinsey's 7S approach. The 7S model is better known as McKinsey's 7S. This is because the two persons who developed this model, Tom Peters and Robert Waterman, have been consultants at McKinsey and Corporation at that time. They published the 7S model in their article Structure is Not Organization and in their books The Art of Japanese Management and In Search of Excellence. Those four elements are distinguished in so-called hard S's and soft S's. The hard S's strategy actions a company's plans in response to or anticipation of changes in its external environment. Structure bases for specialization and coordination influenced primarily by strategy and by organization size and diversity. Systems, formal and informal procedures that support the strategy and structure. Systems are more powerful than they are given credit. Staff, the people or the human resource management processes used to develop managers, socialization processes and ways of sharpening basic values of management cadre, ways of introducing young recruits to the company, ways of helping to manage the careers of employees.
Hi, in this slide, this is a tool that McKinsey came up with. They call it the Happy Little Atom, and it was made famous or popular anyway by the book In Search of Excellence, and they make it clever. They call it the 7S framework. And so let's sort of play along here. Let's imagine that you parachute into a distribution company, and it's been a poor performer, and that's why it's for sale, and nobody wants to buy it or pay the liquidation price of it, what the book value is. So you do a clever financing. It's a bootstrap buyout, and you hop in there and you announce to everybody day one, look, I'm a monomaniac in a mission. I've decided I'm going to be a top 1% or top 5 percentile performer. That's a value I have. I'm not happy being mediocre, running this as a lifestyle machine. I want to turn this into a wealth machine that's going to grow the wealth economics of all the stakeholders at a more rapid rate than the industry, so I can attract the best people, keep the best people, and keep them turned on, because that's going to be a sustainable source of ongoing growth energy. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on what we've done historically. I'm going to figure out what the core is, and I'm going to do the core a lot better. So with net profit analytics, I'm going to check this all out. And what have we done best? We are now going to do that not at 50%, 60%. We're going to do that 99 percentile kind of thing. So again, I'm consistent with my values. This is what I'm going to do. Also, one of my values is transparency. No secrets. So here are all the financial numbers. Everybody can see we've been losing money on a regular basis, but I think we can turn it around. And if this scares you and you want to leave now, that's fine. This environment is not going to be for everybody, but people who say, you know what, I want to have job security, I want to have job growth, I want to make premium wages for my job niche, I want to be part of the tightest ship in the industry, I'm willing to hang around for a while. So now we're talking about one value is excellence, another value is sort of integrity, and we're going to do that by being totally open book. And when we go look at all the numbers and realize we have some losers and some winners, we're going to say we're not going to put our head in the sand. Losers are losers. And 100% of our customers are going to be profitable, or long term we can't take care of them. We're not in the business of subsidizing, other entities in a way. Now, to get brilliant at the strategy, so now what we have to do is have our service value equation, figure out what that is. We need to skill ourselves up. We have to rethink our systems. So again, we may even have to change the structure. We have to sort of say, oh, you know what, because the customers want to call late in the day, we've got to relocate our warehouse to a place where we can get shipments out at a later time via UPS, and so forth. But you'll notice that in every case, when I go look at strategy, it can impact skills, it can impact structure, staff, whatever. They're all interdependent. But to a certain degree, what really is driving the heart of the atom, if you will, the nucleus, are values like excellence. We're going to be 99 percentile, focus, discipline, integrity, customer service excellence, those kinds of things. So that's a way of saying, okay, well, how do we do in these kinds of things? Now, this whole YouTube thing was the catalyst was net profit analytics, realizing we have huge cross subsidies that we can, do dramatic new things with because of dramatic new insights. But that in turn is going to shape everything else around here. And to a certain degree, our values even will change. We have to say, well, wait a minute. What do we stand for looking at what we can do with this company? So all these things have to be internally consistent, and it turns out that net profit analytics can be a catalyst for our rethinking our whole happy atom, which in a sense is our...
Let's know the meaning of SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis is an acronym for strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. By definition, strength, S, and weaknesses are considered to be internal factors over which you have some measure of control. Also, by definition, opportunities and threats are considered to be external factors over which you have essentially no control. SWOT analysis is the most renowned tool for audit and analysis of the overall strategic position of the business and its environment. Its key purpose is to identify the strategies that will create a firm-specific business model that will best align an organization's resources and capabilities of the environment in which the firm operates. In other words, it is the foundation for evaluating the internal potential and limitations and the probable or likely opportunities and threats from the external environment.
SWOT analysis. What does SWOT stand for? Strength, weakness, opportunities, threats. How is SWOT analysis used? For planning. Identify key factors to achieve a goal. Provide a complete picture of project. Are you interested? No? So, here you have the steps. Step 1. Identify the strengths. Strengths are the characteristics that help you achieve your goals. What are the skills, talents and abilities we have? What do we have to help achieve my goal? Knowledge or experience in this area. Step 2. Identify the weaknesses. Weaknesses are the characteristics that negatively impact our project. What skills, talents and abilities do we need? What resources do we need? Do we lack any knowledge or experience? Step 3. Identify the opportunities. Opportunities are the resources that can help achieve the goal. Who can we ask for help and support? What strengths can we turn into opportunities? What skills, talents and abilities can we develop? Step 4. Identify the threats. Threats are the risks that negatively impact your goal. What obstacles are blocking our goal? What personal events could threaten the project? Who is against the project? Here you have an example. A group of students in Mozambique wants to start a business selling pedgilas, beans with flour. Let's see their SWOT analysis. Strengths. Enough money to buy ingredient, of late-term savings. Cooking class at school. Motivation for the new project. Weaknesses. Have never prepared pedgilas. First experience in business. Opportunities. There is a bakery in front of school. No snack stores around the school. Threats. No information about the customers. possibilities that new sellers appear. As you can see, it's easy, just need practice.
An overview of the 4 factors, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats, is given as strengths. Strengths are the qualities that enable to accomplish the organization's mission. These are the basis on which continued success can be made and continued or sustained. Strengths can be either tangible or intangible. Strengths are the beneficial aspects of the organization or the capabilities of an organization, which includes human competencies, process capabilities, financial resources, products and services, customer goodwill and brand loyalty. Weaknesses. Weaknesses are the qualities that prevent an organization from accomplishing mission and achieving full potential. Weaknesses in an organization may be depreciating machinery, insufficient research and development facilities, narrow product range, poor decision making, etc. Weaknesses are controllable. They must be minimized and eliminated. For instance, to overcome obsolete machinery, new machinery can be purchased. Opportunities. Opportunities are presented by the environment within which an organization operates. These arise when an organization can take benefit of conditions in its environment to plan and execute strategies that enable it to become more profitable. Organizations can gain competitive advantage by making use of opportunities. Threats. Threats arise when conditions in external environment jeopardize the reliability and profitability of the organization's business. Advantages of SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis is instrumental in strategy formulation and selection. It is a strong tool, but it involves a great subjective element. It is best when used as a guide and not as a prescription. Successful businesses build on their strengths, correct their weaknesses, and protect against internal weaknesses and external threats. They also keep a watch on their overall business environment and recognize and exploit new opportunities faster than its competitors. SWOT analysis helps in strategic planning in following manner. It is a source of information for strategic planning. It builds organization's strengths. It reverses its weaknesses. It maximizes its response to opportunities. Limitations of SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis is not free from its limitations. It may cause organizations to view circumstances as very simple, because of which the organizations might overlook certain key strategic contact which may occur. There are certain limitations of SWOT analysis which are not in control of management. They include price increase, inputs, raw materials, government legislation, economic environment. Controlling is a process which measures and directs the actual performance against the planned goals of the organization. Thus, goals and objectives are often referred to as the Siamese twins of management, the managerial function of management, and the correction of performance in order to ensure that enterprise objectives and the goals devised to attain them are being accomplished. Characteristics of control. Control is a continuous process. It is a management process. It is embedded in each level of organizational hierarchy. Control is forward-looking. Planning-control relationship. Planning and controlling are interrelated within any organization. Planning sets the goal for the organization and controlling ensures its accomplishment. Planning decides the control process and controlling provides sound basis for planning. In simple words, planning and controlling are basically dependent on each other. The relationship between them is explained as under. Planning originates controlling. In planning process, the objectives or targets are to be set, and to achieve those goals, control process is required. So we can say that planning precedes control. Control sustains planning. Controlling directs the course of planning. Controlling spots the areas where planning is required. Process of control. The control process is a direction for organizational control that derives from the goals and strategic plans of the organization. In order to create an effective control process, the company needs to determine what is and where it is going. Strategic goals need to begin with a broad view and then create layers of focus that outline how each department within the organization will contribute to those goals. Dimensions of control. All controls can be characterized through 3 dimensions. These characterizations can help us understand where a control fits within the risk framework, enables us to better assess control capabilities, and helps us eliminate gaps in our organization's risk management program. Forms. Controls take one of these forms: policy, process, or technology. An important thing to keep in mind is that relatively few controls stand alone. For example, a technology control such as a firewall will have policies associated with how it should be configured and used and processes that determine how it's managed. Purpose. Control purpose refers to whether the controls are primarily preventive, detective, or responsive in nature. The qualifier primarily is important to keep in mind as some controls may serve more than one purpose, killing more than one bird with one stone. Management by objectives, MBO. The concept of MBO is closely connected with the concept of planning. The process of planning implies the existence of objectives and is used as a tool or technique for achieving the objectives. Modern managements are rightly described as management by objectives, MBO. This MBO concept was popularized by Peter Drucker. It suggests that objectives should not be imposed on subordinates but should be decided collectively by a concerned with the management. This gives popular support to them and the achievement of such objectives becomes easy and quick.
Hello Ben, can I explain any management concepts?
Professor Siegfried, what is management by objectives, MBO?
Well Ben, management by objectives, MBO, is a process of defining objectives within an organization so that management and employees agree to the objectives and understand what they need to do in the organization in order to achieve them. The term management by objectives was first popularized by Peter Drucker in his 1954 book titled, The Practice of Management.
Professor, what is the core benefit of management by objectives?
The benefit of MBO is participative goal setting, choosing course of actions and decision making. An important part of the MBO is the measurement and the comparison of the employee's actual performance with the standards set. Ideally, when employees themselves have been involved with the goal setting and choosing the course of action to be followed by them, they are more likely to fulfill their responsibilities.
Thanks Professor for explaining management by objectives, MBO.
Management by objectives, MBO, is the most widely accepted philosophy of management today. It is a demanding and rewarding style of management. It concentrates attention on the accomplishment of objectives through participation of all concerned persons, that is, through team spirit. MBO is based on the assumption that people perform better when they know what is expected of them and can relate their personal goals to organization objectives. Superior subordinate participation, joint goal setting, and support and encouragement from superior to the subordinates are the basic features of MBO. It is a result-oriented philosophy and offers many advantages such as employee motivation, high morale, effective and purposeful leadership, and clear objectives before all concerned persons. According to George Odimi, MBO is a process whereby superior and subordinate managers of an organization jointly define its common goals, define each individual's major areas of responsibility in terms of results expected of him, and use these measures as guides for operating the unit and assessing the contribution of each of its members. Features of management by objectives, MBO. Following are the features of MBO. Superior subordinate participation. MBO requires the superior and the subordinate to recognize that the development of objectives is a joint project activity. They must be jointly agree and write out their duties and areas of responsibility in their respective jobs. Joint goal setting. MBO emphasizes joint goal setting that are tangible, verifiable, and measurable. The subordinate, in consultation with his superior, sets his own short-term goals. However, it is examined both by the superior and the subordinate that goals are realistic and attainable. In brief, the goals are to be decided jointly through the participation of all. Steps in management by objectives planning. The steps followed in management by objectives process are: goal setting. The first phase in the MBO process is to define the organization objectives. These are determined by the top management and usually in consultation with other managers. Once these goals are established, they should be made known to all the members. In setting objectives, it is necessary to identify key result areas or KRA. Manager-subordinate involvement. After the organizational goals are defined, the subordinates work with the managers to determine their individual goals. In this way, everyone gets involved in the goal setting. Advantages of management by objectives. Develops result-oriented philosophy. MBO is a result-oriented philosophy. It does not favor management by crisis. Managers are expected to develop specific individual and group goals, develop appropriate action plans, properly allocate resources, and establish control standards. It provides opportunities and motivation to staff to develop and make positive contribution in achieving the goals of an organization. Formulation of dearer goals. Goal setting is typically an annual feature. MBO produces goals that identify desired expected results. Goals are made verifiable and measurable, which encourage high level of performance. They highlight problem areas and are limited in number. The meeting is of minds between the superior and the subordinates. Now, in the end, let us summarize what we have learned in this lecture. Planning refers to the process of deciding what to do and how to do it. Planning occurs at many levels, from day-to-day decisions made by individuals and families to complex decisions made by business and governments. Strategic planning is a very popular concept that has been around for years. Certainly, it is safe to say that most, if not all, companies and organizations spend time on their strategic plans. SWOT analysis is the most renowned tool for audit and analysis of the overall strategic position of the business and its environment. Controlling is a process which measures and directs the actual performance against the planned goals of the organization. Control purpose refers to whether the controls are primarily preventive, detective, or responsive in nature. The concept of MBO is closely connected with the concept of planning. The process of planning implies the existence of objectives and is used as a tool or technique for achieving the objectives.